It is really good to know when you have enough, like you are satisfied with what you have. I think we live in a world that's constantly telling us we need more and better and more expensive and shinier. And I don't think we need that. This is enough. This is good. And enough isn't like settling. I'm not saying settle. I'm saying like you have everything you need.
Welcome to Midlife Dialogues, where we are continuing our conversation with Pam Mandel. Last week, we talked with Pam about the memoir that she wrote and published, about a couple screenplays she's working on and that are in production, one of them. Today, we're going to talk more about how she does what she does. Tell me, where are you right now? Tell me about these travels you're on.
I am in beautiful Moab, Utah. I got here yesterday. I'm in a Airbnb rental, vacation rental. I'm just outside Arches National Park. It is all scrub oak and this pink soil, and the sky is quite blue, and it is stunning here. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm traveling with my dog Harley, and it turns out that I can work remote, which means that a person could be anywhere. And my home is in Seattle, where it is gray and wet at this time of year. Last year, I spent much of this time of year just outside Joshua Tree National Park.
So, is this a road trip or was this a trip to this destination and you're staying for a while? How does
The
this work?
second one, I'm here for a month.
Nice. How did you choose Moab?
I wanted to be in the high desert because I knew it would be sunny, and I have not seen these national parks.
So here on Midlife Dialogues, we talk to people who have interesting stories. And one thing I like to do is talk about what spurs them on. So I want to ask you about that. What motivates you at this point in your life? You're in midlife. Some people sort of get to this point and they relax and they sit on their couch. And you're definitely not doing that. I want to hear.
I am not sitting on my couch. My couch is 1,600 miles away. To be fair, I do a fair bit of sitting on the couch.
But you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
I
You
do.
do
I
some really
do.
interesting things. Tell me about them.
So I have always done creative work my whole entire life. And it's what lights me up, it's what gets me out of bed in the morning. It's what I want to do. It's how I want to spend my time. I've had lots of different creative pursuits, and that's what drives me. Why am I writing? Why was I up this morning at 6 writing? I mean, it was because I had something I wanted to say. That's not a very profound reason, but that's what motivates me.
I also noticed that your work is evolving. You've gone from freelance writing to writing a book to writing screenplays. Is that something that you expected, or how do you feel about that?
So learning how to write screenplays was really exciting and fun, and sort of opened a whole world of like, oh, that's a whole other way to write. But I will say that one of the things that I learned by doing that is, my co-writer Amy, who taught me how to do screenwriting, she was like, you'll get it in a minute. I was like, I don't know how to write screen. And she was like, it's not a problem. You're going to get it. And to some degree, writing is writing is writing. And so once you learn sort of what makes good writing, I think you can apply these rules to all kinds of things, right? Or once you understand the rule book for your format, you could just do it. My day job, the job I quit in October, I was working as a technical writer, and I had been working as a technical writer before that. And when I was trying to crack the code on that, I was like, stop overthinking this. You're just writing instructions. You've been writing instructions for 5 years on how to use things. Start thinking of it that way, and this will make your life a lot easier. And when I sort of use the same rules, what do people need to know? What's the format that it needs to fit into? What's necessary, what's not necessary, then everything sort of started to make sense. And I would say that that is a thing that was true for learning how to do screenwriting too, where I was like, what are the pieces that put this together? What do I need to know? What does the reader need to know? And then as soon as you get that, you're like, okay, that's it. So these rules are always true, I think,
Yeah.
for writing. What does the reader need to know? What's the best way to tell them that? It doesn't really matter what you're writing. If your writing answers those questions, you're in good shape.
What would you say to someone who is interested in writing a memoir or a screenplay? How does someone get the gumption to do that?
I'm laughing because my first reaction is just don't.
Why? Why not?
Right? Because it's hard. I have a good friend who's sort of my writing buddy, my friend Andrew Evans, and we're always joking about how writing memoirs, typing and crying. That's it, right? It's typing and crying. That's what it means to write memoir. The other thing is that I wish I could remember who this quote is, but there's some famous writer who said the only reason for writing is because you can't not do it. So when I wrote my memoir, I was really quite compelled. I just felt like I started writing this thing, and then, I looked up a couple months later and I was the other side of it. And I know that sounds like weird. There's that mania, right? Graphomania. There's the word I'm looking for, like some kind of graphomania thing. But I feel like in some cases there should be some aspect of that. Like you can't help yourself. That's the reason to do it. If you're casting around for reasons why you should, then you probably shouldn't, right? It shouldn't be that way, right? It's easy to find reasons not to. There's always reasons not to, like I'll be embarrassed. My mom will be mad. It doesn't pay any money. There's a million reasons not to, right? But if it's a thing you feel compelled to do, you should probably do it, because what do you have to lose?
That's a good answer. You make me think, your blog online, Nerd's Eye View, we talked about last week that you describe yourself as, on the blog, you describe yourself as weirdo, spinster, gadfly. And maybe you should also say, what is it? Graphomaniac.
Graphomaniac. I think that people will sit down and they'll like suffer to make themselves right. And I'm like, why? It's not rewarding enough that you should be like really suffering through it, I think, right? If you're not doing it because it somehow feeds something in you, it seems senseless to spend the time at it. Like go do things that light you up.
I know you travel a lot. Tell me about that. And it sounds like your dogs over the years have been an integral part of your travel. And I think that's really interesting.
So I have had one dog, and he is right there behind me, sleeping on
Oh,
the floor. When I first got him, he hated the car. He hated the car, and I love to travel. I was like, this won't do. This will not do. You cannot be my dog and not like to travel. And now when I pick up the car keys, he comes running. He can't wait to get in the car and go places with me.
how did that change?
I just made him do it. And then he started to get into it. He just relaxed. I have become actually very, very slow. Like I do many, many fewer things than I used to when I traveled. Like I used to try to cram all this stuff into my adventures. And now I'm like, I'm in a new place. I'm going to see what that looks like. I'm just going to look out the window and see, like, watch the light change. And I find that tremendously satisfying.
That's great. That's a great story. What else keeps you going through your life? Do you have other routines? Do you have things that you do that keep you going, that make you want to write, that make you want to face each day?
I went to art school, and one of the things that I learned when I was in art school, like if you're feeling stuck, you should just make a mess and then things will happen, right? Like it's that fear of the blank page kind of thing, right? And art school teaches you that like there is no mess that is so great that you cannot salvage it and make it into something beautiful. And also over the last couple of months, it's probably 6 months now, I have a really good friend in Seattle, and we have been spinning the globe and picking a place to cook from. And a few times I have failed, right? The things that I've made, like I didn't like them, or I wasn't sure if I liked the food of that region, or I made something once and it came out great, and I made something again and it was a disaster. No harm, no foul. Like experimentation, like you learn new things, right? I am an internally curious person. We were cooking Ethiopian for a while, and I was like, oh, Ethiopian has this spice. It's called berry berry. How do you make that? What happens if you buy it from the store? Why does it exist? Like I am endlessly curious. And I think that's probably what's underneath everything, right? Is that I'm endlessly curious. And so it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm like, what is that? How did it get that way? What was there before? If I get this spice from one place, why is it different than when I get it from somewhere else? I don't know if that's so much what makes me go, but thinking about like what makes other things the way they are is endlessly interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a good answer. That is probably some of your writerliness. I'm the same way. I hear that.
Yeah, I mean I write because I'm trying to figure things out, right? That's what it is. I'm trying to figure something out. I'm trying to work through an idea. I'm trying to puzzle on something, like I wrote just this morning about like I just turned 60, and I wrote like what does that mean to be 60? Are there things I should know now that I'm 60? I don't feel like I know them.
Tell me more about that, about being 60. What did you figure out about how you feel about that?
Well, it's funny because I never wanted kids. I don't have kids. I've never wanted kids. It's not something I never wanted to do. And I have increasingly thought that I live on a different timeline than people who have kids. They experience time differently because they watch other people in their house aging, not just themselves, right? Like I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh man, like, okay, when did that happen, right? But I don't see it walking around my house all the time. So I'm a little bit removed from it. So I think about that when I think about being 60, and I think about some of the physical limitations, right? Like I'm getting arthritis in my shoulder. It's a bummer. It annoys me. I like to swim, and this annoys me, but it doesn't stop me from swimming. And I'm not a very conventional person, so I don't feel like there's a good rule book out there for what 60 is supposed to look like when you're not a conventional person.
That's interesting. Yeah, you're not following the rules of the 60-year-olds in general.
Yeah, and I had this moment while I was driving across southern Idaho. It was a couple days ago. I was on my way to Salt Lake, and I was driving across this huge, wide open plateau, and my dog's sleeping in the back seat, and I have all kinds of weird stuff with me because I'm here for a month. And I was like, is this a normal thing for a person my age to be doing? Is this age appropriate behavior? Why am I behaving like I'm 20 and I just got out of college? I mean, it's fine. I wasn't being judgmental about it. It was just this little puzzle. And I don't
Yeah.
have a good answer to that. I don't know if it is. I mean, for all I know, there's lots of people just like me wandering around out there, and I just don't see them.
I think there are. I think there are some people like
I hope
that.
so.
Those are the people I'm interested in talking to. They're not sitting on the couch. I mean, I
Right.
sit on the couch too, but do you set goals?
I set goals in a very like short-term kind of way. I don't do long-term goals. The fates are so fickle. When I was writing my book, for example, I wrote a word count every day. That's how I got it done. But broader, like bucket list kind of things, never.
How do you feel about where you're at 60?
I don't know yet. Right? Like it just happened yesterday. In a broader sense, life is good right now. I'm in a beautiful place. My dog is sleeping. I have projects. I have good work. I have good friends. I feel like I am healthy for my age. My brain is extremely lively. So, I feel pretty good about it.
That's good. Are there any sayings or philosophies or anything like that that you live by?
All I can think of is candidly, it's like, don't be an asshole. Right? Actually, there is a thing that I have come over the last, I don't know, it wasn't my entire time, it sort of as a writer or my entire existence as a human, but I have come to really appreciate finding out when I'm wrong about things because I learn things when I'm wrong. And by wrong, I don't mean like treating people badly or that kind of stuff. I mean, like, when I'm trying to get a read on a place, for example, or I have an assumption about what it's going to be like to say, I don't know, go to Paris. And then I get to Paris and I find that, like, for some reason, there's a lot of excellent Arab food here, right? Whereas my sense of Paris is this very dated, romantic, 1920s kind of thing. And then I get there and I'm like, this is the best falafel I've ever had in my entire life. That's what I mean by being wrong. I like having my my baselines reset, that sort of like notion of exploration and accepting things for what they give me as opposed to what my expectations are. I'm okay with having expectations, but I'm no longer devastated when they are not met.
That's very grown up of you.
Thank God. There's two things that I think sit with me as I am 60 and one day. And one is that it is really good to know when you have enough, like you are satisfied with what you have. I think we live in a world that's constantly telling us we need more and better and more expensive and shinier. And I don't think we need that. This is enough. This is good. And enough isn't like settling. I'm not saying settle. I'm saying like you have everything you need. And I went through a difficult couple of years over the last 5 years. I lost 3 family members. I got divorced. There was a pandemic. There was that small thing. I would do this thing where I would be like, you have everything you need. It's okay. You're okay. I live in a 1946 house and I do not have a dishwasher. I would like to have a dishwasher. That would be really luxurious to me. But also, it's fine to be accepting of enough. There's that. And then the other thing is that, because again, I went through a difficult 5 years, and sometimes you have to make a really hard decision and it's painful and it hurts for a long time. And it's still the right thing to do. Like, I'm not sorry I got divorced. It was very, very difficult. I did not want it. I did not want things to end this way. On the other side of it, I'm like, that was the right choice, right? And when I quit my job, I walked away from a really good job, really good job. I had a great job. I was paid well. I had excellent benefits. I was not happy. And I walked away from a fat paycheck so I could do things that did make me happy. So you can make this hard choice and have it be the right thing, even if it's hard, even if it hurts, even if there are sacrifices. They can be the right thing.
That is some great wisdom. That's really neat to hear. I think we all need to be reminded of that sometimes. This is really interesting to talk to you, Pam. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed hearing about what you do and how you do it and why you do it. And so
Thanks
thank you
so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks everybody out there for listening to Midlife Dialogues. Check back every Tuesday for another interesting person in midlife, and we'll see you next time.